feather their further career. And we know that he's going to run for president in 4 years. And so this is something that he's
I go out immediately with no issues.
This is a political tribal move that these people are making. They know that Jeff Sessions is not a racist. Anybody who looks at his career,
that's all
he knows.
That's all you do.
Even the people who are attacking him right now have said in the
call
past
people racist.
what a great guy he is. But for political points, they're attacking him now.
That doesn't
I
work.
don't think that's going to stop him. Most people don't think that's going to stop him now in the confirmation process. Is there?
I'm not teaching
do you
everybody.
agree with that? Do you think there's anybody that is vulnerable in this confirmation process?
Well, first of all, David, I think we have to look at the situation in context. The political establishment harped on the popular vote. They harped on the question of
speaking of questions, I'm chilling, taking some questions.
Michigan and Pennsylvania, none of which had any basis in terms of irregularity.
But I don't know anything about anything.
They harped upon trying to badger and threaten electors to not vote for Donald Trump. But worse than all of that, they have continued this relentless Russian hacking canard past its due date. Now, the Democrats, John Podesta, the Clintons, we heard this theme loud and clear that the Russians were behind WikiLeaks, that they were responsible for this attack on Hillary. It was not true then. It is not true now. The extraordinary lengths that the intelligence services have gone to construct a myth is disturbing. In other words, if one will look at the hearings run by John McCain, what you will really learn if you read and listen for the fine print is an assessment of the situation. Says Putin ran the show and they hacked their election. And another point, they tell us that members of the committee were briefed. No Republican on the House or the Senate Intelligence Committees, all of whom are allowed to see classified documents, have seen no irrefutable proof of this. The few documents that were attached to this special report that was prepared for the president showed that RT attacked Hillary on their Twitter feed a year ago. So the New York Times particularly, Scott Shane, an investigative reporter, CNN, but the truth is,
as I get ready to shut my shit off, then niggas will start commenting.
We have an allegation, and when you have people like John Brennan, the CIA director, a man who converted to Wahhabism, the most extreme form of Muslim, a man who
it's only 9 o'clock for me,
with his hand on the Bible, a man who I believe cleansed Barack Obama's passport file. This guy, with a long association of Communist Party activity, this guy is a thug with a motive. Mike Morrell, the former assistant, the former acting CIA director, they rolled him out to continue the Russian.
What are you watching me?
Morrell covered up the lies of Benghazi and is now on the payroll of some Clinton-connected PR firm.
Of course, he became CIA director, acting CIA director, after Petraeus was taken out for his security lapses, and so he then turned around and supported Hillary Clinton, even though it showed that she had thrown national security under the bus in a very careless, haphazard manner. But this is a guy who's always been a never Trumper, Mike Morales, and it's very disturbing to see that from the CIA.
Yes, well, and Trump and WBAI in New York had an excellent report the other night about Trump's plans to reform the intelligence services. These rogue agencies need to be reined in. They don't want to. They want to continue to lie and murder and break federal law.
So like this dude, right? He threw a throwing knife. Yeah, it was like this one.
They lied about Benghazi.
I caught it.
They lied about Vietnam. They lied about the Kennedy
Another true story.
They lied about Iran-Contra.
Yeah, I caught it with my shoulder.
Part of being a spy is the ability
and I was like,
to lie.
Oh, cool, I'm keeping that.
And either the intelligence services will control the president, or the president will control the intelligence services.
I took it to the heart,
Really has these guys,
but
in high drive over this
I'm not like Desperado with the dude. I'm like, I'm not gonna drop him. I'm gonna keep him.
Up the whole shop. And that scares the daylights
So yeah, I got 2.
It just scares them to death.
And there's no limit as to what they will lie about. As a matter of fact,
I wasn't gonna be like
one of the former CIA officials went on CNN and accused Julian Assange of being a pedophile. WikiLeaks wouldn't have it. They immediately came out and said, you better do a retraction within 24 hours.
Oh, come
We're going to come after you. and they did something
Oh,
what up?
that's the kind of lies that we see being thrown out there by these politicized intelligence agencies.
Whoop, motherfucker. Doing good, Ninja. I know you guys subscribe.
Against Julian Assange are manufactured.
Yes.
This is a hallmark of British intelligence.
The honey trap.
The woman who very clearly had consensual sex or may have had consensual sex later.
Have a good night. Thanks for stopping by.
She's an asset with a long record, so please, it's tedious.
I tried to go live earlier, but you know.
Number two, again, John Podesta alleges before the election that Roger Stone must have known in advance that his email was being hacked based on a tweet in which I said that specifically his time in the barrel would come soon, meaning his
So yeah, shouts out to J-Town, thanks for stopping by. Whoop, motherfucker. Just the Clown and Ninja.
By the Clintonites.
Thanks for the shout out, by the way. But you get a live shout out. Oh, motherfucker.
The Russian mob and
That's how we do it.
None of this information comes from WikiLeaks. Those are unrelated matters. Secondarily,
That's how we do it,
motherfucker. Continue to maintain on Twitter every day that because I predicted that on October 5th,
But yeah, if gang, if not, you a gay bitch. If you a gay
that
bitch.
meant I knew what the nature of it was and what his exact schedule was. I also knew through an interview that I've been frank about that whatever Assange had was unspecified political dynamite. I did not know whether it was related to the Clinton Foundation or Podesta or anything else. So these two tweets prove nothing.
Pisses.
They do not prove advanced knowledge by Stone. But try going on Twitter.
He's legitimately pissed off.
Rock and these other maggots just in their bots constantly. You know, Stone tipped off his friend Donald Trump to Russia.
Everybody's pissed off.
Of Clinton camp. False.
Yeah. They're very selective about what they want to put out, and of course that everybody's talking about Manafort and lobbyist connections to Russia, but nobody talked about Podesta's
That's
connections to Russia.
a business decision based on artists
look at Podesta's connections to Russia,
and his label.
And it was very well known, but they also
and
put
his
no
manager.
credibility,
No.
British ambassadors. We got the current
I'm out of
ambassadors.
it.
Yeah, people in Washington tell me
Cool,
they
man.
were the ones who handed this over, that there wasn't a cybersecurity violation to get this information. Another former British ambassador said, I traveled to the United States and I was handed information about the DNC by somebody who was upset about what was happening with Bernie Sanders. He was a supporter of Bernie Sanders. He was upset about the corruption within the DNC. He said they handed that to me, but of course they don't give that any credibility in the intelligence reports.
Well, I guess the real chutzpah to me, though, is that Podesta made these charges against me before
No
the
dislikes.
election, carried in prime time twice by CNN, that because of these two tweets, which I just explained, I had to know in advance that he was being hacked and that I had to know he was being hacked by the Russians.
Right.
After the election, he actually posted an op-ed piece of the Washington Post repeating this now recycled, tired, false narrative. They never give up. It's just not, none of it is true. I had no advanced knowledge of the specific items or focus of any Assange's material. On the 6th, he announced that he would be having disclosures.
I'm a little bit different than everybody else. On this channel, I'm chilling.
Political dynamite. By the way,
talking. Right now I'm chilling.
went on the record in an
You can
interview,
talk.
I believe, with the Associated Press, saying as much himself only days
in form
earlier.
of text.
And of course, you had Wade
And I can talk in form of video.
Head of the NSA, go on record yet again saying no.
I'm
I
lazy.
believe it was Russians. I believe it was internal. We had Ray McGovern, who was with the CIA. He used to be the person who briefed the president, saying, "I don't believe it was the Russians."
Because I'm American. That's why.
So we got NSA whistleblower. We got CIA, former CIA, also saying that, and then we got all of the technical people who are laughing at this technical report that came out. We've had John McAfee say, look, if you look at this, they say there's circumstances.
For some reason, somebody got kicked out of the stream.
Time zone stamp that looks like it's coming from Russia. It looks like
Speculation, I think not.
And so forth and so on. He goes, only an amateur organization
Like, I was watching
would
it.
leave those kind of footprints. If it
I was like, wait a minute, where's the phone?
That kind of footprints, they're incredible amateurs. But then they even have an out-of-date, by about a year and a half of revs, an out-of-date version of malware to go in and get this information.
It was very
and all of
comical.
this ignores the fact that Guccifer 1.0 was able to get all the private emails of Colin Powell and George W. Bush and Tony Blair. And without being a computer expert, he didn't have any state security apparatus behind him to hack all this stuff. He just guessed their passwords. It's not too hard to guess Podesta's password. It's password.
Well, for the record,
yeah. They refuse to
you guys can think I'm crazy or what have you, but yeah, I already know.
There just is nothing there.
Because my doctor told me.
But I guess the point, to go back to your question, to frame this is, all of this shows how determined they are to do anything humanly possible to block Donald Trump and her foreign.
Well, like, is that correct intel? That's what somebody commented on.
Who's been McCartney partner.
Can you read it?
Is going to do everything humanly possible to cast aspersions on and derail all of the Trump nominees. I expect a vigorous fight over Rex Tillerson, who I think is a brilliant outside-the-box choice. I mean, I actually saw where Trump
I'm not on this game.
criticized for choosing the Ford Motor Company executive because he had a personal relationship with Vladimir Putin. As Donald himself said to me, that's precisely why you choose someone like him.
Yeah, he knows that.
It's time to start talking. It's time to start talking.
The only one I have is.
Yes.
In other words, Trump is very clearly the candidate of détente.
I've seen you before, but listen.
These people have horrific weapons.
Do not think you're smarter than me. I only will.
And although communism may have fallen, this is the
second you think you're smarter than me, I got a shit can you.
Or not.
On the string.
Hillary
Sorry.
and neocon buddies.
I don't think nobody's smarter than you.
I know. That's why I really don't block anybody.
When I spoke at a New Yorker conference just before the election in October on the...
And if you can't comment, it's because you blocked me.
Trust me, taking your life in your hands.
Because I can go to my shit right now.
And
there ain't nobody up in it.
Wall Street Journal editorialist Max Boot
Like,
was on
but like two
and
people.
He was drooling for war with
And they're probably the same fucking douche.
We have not.
See, live streams are awesome because I really don't know how to spell douche.
As we speak, Obama
I don't know
has
why.
moved special forces to the Russian border.
Yes, yes.
I never bought it and never used it.
Stepping closer and closer to Armageddon. The question we have
And
to
it
ask
acted some more sanctions against Russia as well.
Well, so
It's better when you say it without spelling it.
Let's
spell check.
Based on no proof of
So,
activity.
Hunter, you douche.
Yeah, and they've been there the entire Obama administration.
We seized private property that they purchased under
You were
consistent
embarrassing
laws of
yourself.
Property regulation. So
No, you was.
call that an illegal
I was
taking,
watching
but I guess
you.
They have no rights since they're not American citizens.
Then I watched you as you disappeared.
Principle of,
I guess it's like civil asset forfeiture.
I was like, oh no.
you know, for 8 years.
Wow.
For 8 years, Putin kicks this guy's butt around the block. The reset's a joke. The line in the sand is a joke. And now suddenly he wants to be tough on Putin.
I don't know who or what the fuck, but I think the name for him is something that I will not say. For I will be a target. I don't want that.
He wants to make a deal.
If I identify that person with a name, I'm in trouble. Then I don't mean like their real name, because I don't know that. I mean their occupation.
Well, one of the things that concerns me, Roger, is the fact that yes,
Typing
this
and shit.
narrative is playing to their political base. It is
I don't know
posturing,
anything.
it is enforcing
All I know is
tribalism,
that was
and
bad.
they're being very reckless in terms of tweaking the
So bad I had to do a
Russians'
report.
nose, and they want to come out
Be
with
like,
Trump.
yo.
But also, I think, Roger, they want to get their nose under the tent in
Yes,
terms of future
I'm like you.
elections and inserting
I'm all aware I can
homeland
put
security
your
into
YouTube handle.
voting machines that we have
But if I do,
throughout the various
and you
state
get my
jurisdictions.
subscribers.
And that's a very troubling move that they have put here. I think that's one of the things we all should be very alarmed at. And I hope that Donald Trump, as he said to reporters, he said, look, if you got something that is very important, we all know that computers are not safe. If you got something important, you write it down on a piece of paper, you deliver it with a courier. That's the way our elections ought to be run.
Yes, well, look,
but it was a nice try.
First of all,
I seen you in your other stream walking out of the bathroom winded and shit. You couldn't even take a shit without being winded, baby.
Yes.
A manipulator. To some extent,
All there is
open
the door and you come
by the manufacturer or the jurisdiction.
walking off side to side.
So,
Like you got that pimp walk, but it's not really that.
The answer is yes.
Yes! I'm too fucking shit fucking face to even see if anybody's entering. How many people we got in here? Yo, why you down? You talking?
impossibility. When I raised these questions, Hillary Clinton and the left went crazy. How irresponsible of them. When they wanted a recount in Wisconsin, a $3.5 billion recount, their only argument, David, was these machines are very susceptible to manipulation. No evidence.
That's all you can do.
So this is a distinction that
do something. No, you can't.
That I think people are missing.
His baby's due in a month and a half.
In all candor, Trump has pretty much said this. The Chinese, the North Koreans, the
going with Jabba Jabba Bite,
the Israelis, the Russians,
his other one,
have
his
most
daughter's
likely all hacked
that's a no go. He's not
American
doing that.
documents. Hillary Clinton was the one who left the gate open with an unsecured
Like,
server.
Doc, he don't take care of his fucking. Doesn't he have a kid? Speculation?
Turkish intelligence
Yeah, he don't take care of
has the
speculation.
Huma Abedin
Love it just like
Speculation.
Email record because their intelligence service obtained it. So this it really is getting very old.
More dislikes than likes.
It doesn't mean anything.
Post-Trump
Yeah, they don't realize that.
Yeah. Oh, the thing I'm concerned about is that they're
People are gonna go, well,
saying right
what
now,
the hell? Why is he getting this?
that our election machines
That's
were
not
hacked,
cool.
but
I'm
that's
gonna
what
subscribe.
they're doing. And then they follow through to make sure that they
Well,
do
if you're a
have
big
access
fat
to
boy
all these
hunter, I mean,
counties at the local level.
you have all this to worry about.
Before we come back from break, and we'll
that's
also
just
ask
more of a-
Roger Stone, does Jeff Sessions...
I'll step into your zoning flex, nigga.
Alex Joshua, I'm David Knight, and we're talking to
So,
Roger Stone. We've got
if
some
you
more
got a smaller
questions
dick
for
than me,
Roger, not
make
only
sure you hit
about
that dislike button. Thank you.
technicalities, but also what's going to happen in the run-up to the inauguration. We've had a lot of people saying that they're going to get rough with the inauguration, that it's going to be a lot of protests. I want to see what Roger's heard about this.
If you need to take a bath in some sort of bite, use the act shit and make sure to hit that dislike button on the way out, that nigga.
But he's going to be driving, and what his specialty is biology. And he doesn't know it's me, though. He's found about genetically modified organisms.
Maybe if you call his name for the reason, he'll appear.
Before we do, think about your health at this moment. Think about the natural basics.
Are you okay?
The
Talk to me.
biological essential minerals.
You worry me.
and
I'm
nutrients
scared.
that you need
So
to
you
give
there?
your body what it needs to protect itself, to grow.
Are you okay?
Protect itself against toxic garbage that you find in your food, your water, your air. You're constantly
Please?
under chemical siege.
Type
And
in
we're going to talk about that when we talk about
1,
GMO.
for you are okay.
Also, your body has
2,
certain essential
that you need medical
nutrients
assistance
and
right away.
Minerals, vitamins that you need. And of course, one of those is selenium. There's no question
And
about
3,
that. Look at
4,
all the different studies that we have
you're a
about
player hater
selenium,
motherfucker,
it's, helps
and
the immune system,
you need to hit
it's
the dislike
important
button on the way out.
to your DNA
And you need a bigger dick.
production, eyesight.
Get a dick
Question
pump.
is,
Or extends or
source of
something.
selenium to get. That's always a question.
They're always coming up with new shit.
I know I need this supplement or that supplement, but
Hunter.
what am I really getting? Well, I'll tell you what you're getting at InfoWars. BioTrue Selenium is made from a source of 100% organic mustard seed.
Everybody give
Most
Hunter a
of the
round of
selenium
applause.
supplements on the
He's a good
market
sport.
Are produced with
He likes to
synthetic
play.
selenium. That's not what we sell. So it's a
But I don't.
great source of
So I
selenium.
don't.
It's been sold out at InfoWars Life for several weeks now, and it's now back in stock. Also, we have put on
I say
sale
watch.
several very important products
bored.
for you to try if you're not currently getting them, or if you have tried them and you use them. This is a great time to stock up while they're on sale. We've got 30% off
It's
Brain Force,
funny.
Super Male Vitality, and
If you would've shut off your video, well then I would not watch you no more.
Secret 12,
Because then I couldn't see your facial expressions when people torment you in the comments.
To assimilate. Also, Liver Shield, 20% off, Knockout Guard, and Prostiguard. All
No, wait
20%
guys,
off
that's
as well.
not
You
real
can find any
intel.
of these at InfoWarsLife.com.
Wait,
Really
you think you know who it is?
appreciate your
Woohoo! Do you know
to
yet?
encourage you to make 2017 a healthier year for yourself and for your family.
No, wait, I'm stream back.
Talking about Jeff Sessions, since he's the first person who is coming
Hey,
up with
dude.
information. If he
Hey,
gets
dude,
through,
come into my hangout
will
and
he be
check
able
me
to
out.
vote on the coming confirmations for these other people that
May have my
for his
stream.
I think technically Jeff Sessions would remain the U.S. Senator from Alabama until the moment that he resigned the office, and most logically he would resign
I'm Twisted Club.
at the moment that he took the
This is
oath of
Twisted
office
Recipe.
as Secretary of State.
Fuck
That's
you
not the same
and you.
thing as the day he would
You're
be
cool.
confirmed by the Senate.
You are me. So you're cool.
He could preserve his senatorial power.
No, not you. You.
This gives him a very valuable forum if this.
No, wait. You and you. No, it's you and you.
Yeah, so he's going to be there for
You
the rest
suck.
of the confirmation hearings. That's very
I'm
important.
just wrinkly. Fat.
That would be my legal interpretation. Now, I would defer to, say, Judge Napolitano or some others for an examination
Well,
of
they
those
stopped at 14
laws.
just
That's
like-
my.
That's all you have.
That makes sense. That
But
No,
I
I'm
must tell you,
obsessed.
I have known Jeff Sessions since
That's all?
he was
You
active
have?
in the Young Republicans in Alabama at the time that I was active in the Young
Dog,
Republicans.
you just made 125
and,
emails and YouTubes.
just prior to the time that I became Young Republican National Chairman. Jeff Sessions is no racist.
Prick.
He does
Do
not
more.
have a racist bone in
I'll
his
stay
body.
alive a little longer.
He is
Yeah.
a decent man who's a serious student of the Constitution.
I agree.
He's deeply concerned about the fact that if we do not seal our borders,
Shot count?
we are going to cease to be a country.
For
Stay with us. We're going to take a quick break.
All right.
When we come right back, we're going to ask Roger what he sees coming up.
Hi, I'm
With the
Twisted Clown.
inauguration, activists say they want to turn this into the biggest riot in U.S. history. What
Oh,
will happen? Stay
yeah.
with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm
Pussies.
David Knight. We're talking to Roger Stone. In the next segment, we're going to be
What, you don't like David?
Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. And he is the man who invented email, and he also has
Dude,
some alarming information about
Why not?
genetically
Fuck
modified
you.
food. So we're going to be talking about that in the
Show
next
your
segment.
elders
In
respect.
this segment, though, Roger, we've got an article from Michael Snyder's blog, and he's going to be joining us later in the week. He said activists are hoping to turn
But he's not
Trump's
that. He's
inauguration
30 years my
one of the
senior.
biggest riots in U.S. history. What do you think
Respect.
about this?
you want this?
My own intelligence
Respect him.
tells me that as well, David. The group Disrupt J20, which is
Excuse me.
kind of sits upon an umbrella group of lefty coup organizations. Funded the
Alright, I'll teach you one thing. This is the no reload throw. See, keep throwing off.
10 people who
Throw one, and then already you have the other one ready. No reload. No reload means you're not gonna go for another one. You know, if you're just throwing that. Expert? You always have more than one. I have like 9 on me at all times. Speculation? I think not. Reality?
That they will be harassing visitors as they step on and off the metro, or as visitors.
I have a 6-pack of Smith & Wessons alone.
We know they're going to have
Heavy metal.
protesters with drums seeking to drown out.
Yeah, the only way you can catch him is
at
with the
inaugural
body,
events.
not with your hands. It never works like that. You're not me.
Geared up here.
I learned it from Brandon Lee.
Stunning, I think, example of a gift crop of AstroTurf, of phony disruption.
You don't know him?
The march against fascism and so on.
I think that's going to go over
Who's Lee's
as
kid?
well as all of their Trump protests went over.
Well,
It's going to have exactly the opposite effect, isn't it?
Yes, but here's kind of the new information. The deplorable.
Who's deplorable?
The evening of the 19th, the National
Oh, he's not
Press
talking
Club.
about me.
This is the
I'm straight.
people's celebration.
Tim Green, what up, Linda Joe?
Tim Green, what up?
Alex Jones
How you
is
doing?
speaking, I'm speaking.
Shouts
Zach
out to
Silverman
Tim.
is speaking. The great
I mean,
Mike Cernovich
yeah.
is speaking.
I know
and
him.
the other Liberty Trump supporters. And we now know that groups have prepared to disrupt this party, that they plan to throw baggies filled with urine and bleach.
You watch that Juggalo show? I put it on one of my other channels. Twisted Clown with the camo and the mask and the contact. Yeah,
To
that's
enter
him.
the event, but they have also
Let him know what I sent you and shit, or he'll get mad.
Quislings inside the hall. They are seeking violent
That's the other-
confrontation.
What do you say?
And then, as we saw
I'll
at the
put my
election,
glasses on.
the
You see
violence,
Hunter
of
is
course,
talking
blamed
shorty
on
now.
Donald Trump
What's
and
that?
his supporters.
He said, you
Oh,
see
yeah.
Hunter
So
talking
what
shorty
they
now.
do
Oh,
to
yeah.
people, no matter how they instigate it, it will always
So
be
what?
blamed on
I see everything, my
That
ninja.
situation with
Why would
those
it
four
affect
black
me, though? I
teenagers
learned
who
to
grabbed that mentally handicapped white guy
leave people
paraded
alone and
him
move on with
back
life.
and forth. So no matter how absurd it is, they will double down on that narrative.
What else is his
Well,
name?
in
He
this
said home.
case, look, the folks running the
Home?
deplorable,
Said I'm doing
know what
awesome
they're doing.
home.
They'll be very good security.
Oh,
This
he
is
forgot
gonna
that.
be
It's all good. We know what
the
you're
app.
saying.
If you are, part of the Trump train, This is not where you're going to meet the other cabinet officers.
Juggalo shows an hour and a half long. It is the whole thing.
This is, among activists, the primo event. The left knows this. And they're going to seek to disrupt it. This could be extremely ugly. Yes, I think what they have planned is Chicago 1968.
What's that? Hold on.
They're looking for chaos.
Yeah. It's a time
I might want to monetize this one day,
this
so.
revolution happen. It's a time that they want to have to celebrate. But I think the key thing that's going to come out of this is the distinction between Barack Obama and his Hollywood elite partying, the way they party, ball after ball after ball, and the fact that Donald Trump is very quickly going to get right down to business. I think we're going to see a lot of changes on day one. I think that's going to really show a distinction between Obama and Donald Trump. Thank you so much for joining us, Roger Stone. And we're going to
So yeah, Obama did his farewell address today.
Inventor of email, and his
He was on all over the live streams. No, I didn't watch it.
I'm David Knight, your host today. We have a story InfoWars about a new study that showed that
Mine if you think I
Is
watched.
that alright? If
accumulates
not, I would let you
cancerous
know.
formaldehyde.
Thank you,
Now,
thank
we're going
you.
to talk to the man behind that study. He is
Yeah,
what people call
What do you
polymath.
mean
That is
talk?
somebody who is an expert and
That's
widely
their
diverse
problem. He's like
subject
almost
matter.
60,
Thomas
and
Jefferson,
like
for
she's
example,
40.
all over everything. Well, Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai is one of
I
those.
don't know.
who
That's
has
all
4
she can
degrees
get.
from MIT.
That's
He's
what's
a
up. I
world-renowned
mean,
systems scientist. He's an inventor. He's an entrepreneur. As a
okay.
14-year-old,
Stop.
and Hillary Clinton,
Ah!
he never existed at this point, I think.
Is that
But
a
he
spider?
gave her enough technical
Yeah,
work
but
to
you don't
see
have any here,
herself
huh?
publicly.
You have spiders
and
here?
email
Not ones that can
a
kill
big
you,
part in
though.
her life. It's played a big part in our lives
If
as
you're
well. It's a great
arachnophobic and
invention.
one jumps on
And
you,
he's
you
the
have to
guy
have a
who
heart
invented
attack.
it. Now,
Yeah.
he's really
No, because I know he's not gonna bite me and kill me. I'll just knock
He
him.
has developed a
You have brown
system,
recluses.
Cytosolve.
Alright, that's a
He's
problem.
CEO of Cytosolve Inc. And he does
Yeah, those will kill you.
of
And
biological
cause you to get
systems, and that
big
has
chunks of your
allowed
flesh
him
cut out.
That's the basis of this study. So
Wherever
we're
they
talking to
bite
him
you.
about these things, but there is a common thread. He is
They're
somebody
common in the Florence
who
prison
supports
system.
liberty, and he is somebody who understands
They hide in
the
warm
danger
areas when it's
of the
winter, yeah.
military-industrial complex.
Pick your
So
shoes,
we
your
were warned about
socks,
that by
pot
President
holders,
Eisenhower, and we have seen that come
towels.
true. And he talks about it in the same way that Eisenhower
Warm areas.
is going to talk about it as a military-industrial academic.
Yeah, they're not.
complex,
They
and
just
that's the way
burrow in
that
your
Dr.
skin and it hurts
Ayyadurai
really
talks
bad.
about it,
But
because it truly
yeah.
does roll together academia.
Brown
in a
recluses
very
are kinda
vital
small and
way
scary.
into this
Great.
whole,
How
aspect.
you been, my
But,
ninja? I haven't been able
we've got
to
a lot of
catch
topics
a
to start
live
with. Let's
stream in a
thank you
while.
for joining us.
I'm
Dr.
live streaming on
Let's start
here
with the email.
for right now. I'm
Tell us
doing
how,
alright.
as a
Been-
14-year-old,
I've been busy.
you came about to develop
Lots of legal work.
email, and of course it was just a recent
The laws
lawsuit.
are
We keep
changing
seeing
constantly,
Gawker media turn
so I
up
gotta
in
update.
these lawsuits on the losing side, and they just lost a lawsuit with you. So
And
tell
et cetera, et
us
cetera.
about your invention, and tell us about the lawsuit with Gawker over this.
Yeah, thank you. Great introduction, by the way. So I think the point is, email.
How are you?
I think the heart of it was not invented by the
Sorry?
military,
Last
the
time I
military
covered
industrial
what
complex.
happened.
It did come out of the elite Trump.
What happened to your live
MIT or
stream?
Silicon Valley
Seriously.
big industry.
For all
The
we know,
fact
you
is,
got
I
hijacked or
invented this as
something.
a 14-year-old kid in
I mean,
Newark, New
yeah.
Jersey at a small medical college.
Remember,
And what
I
I was
mean,
fundamentally
I'm
doing
worried.
was solving this civilian problem. If you remember in those days,
Wrong word. Fucking live
in
streams.
many organizations, there was a thing called the inter-office mail system. It was how all organizations collaborated.
Sometimes you
And
say
we
the wrong word and
determined
you mean to say
this,
another word.
Inter-office mail system was a secretary. On her desktop was the inbox, outbox, folders. Underneath her desk was a trash can. On top of her desk was the address.
I'm
book.
nobody of
She would write
consequence.
a thing called a memo.
Seriously.
It had a very specific structure. To, from, subject. She would make carbon copies.
I'm really
Business essentially got done through the inter-office mail system. It wasn't simple exchange of text messages. So as a
Compared to some.
14-year-old kid, I was one of those very overachieving kids. I was also good at, believe it or not, in sports. But I went off to NYU because I finished my math courses by the time I was a 14-year-old kid.
Well, most of my life,
Took a,
really lazy,
accepted to a
so
special
when I was
math
done,
program at
I
NYU,
wanted to do
Foreign
nothing.
Institute of Mathematical Sciences,
Tim Green
but
says,
in a
can't
special
complain,
computer
man.
science
Been
program
blessed.
where I
Awesome.
learned 7 programming language. After I finished that, my parents were afraid of me dropping
Good
out.
shit.
I got a job.
I've been
at a
chilling. I'm
college
blessed
called
at
the
the
University
same
of
thing.
Medicine Dentistry in Newark. And I was
Matter of
given
fact,
this task
I'm blessed with some
converting
good
that
brains,
entire
like
inter-office mail
fucking up my
system.
speech.
And I put the word on system into the electronic computer-based version, and I called that email, a term never used before in the English language. But not only that, I converted all those 100 features in 50,000 lines of code across a system of 35 programs, and it was used. It was successful. We charged for it. Hundreds of people used it in that entire university. And more importantly, what was interesting was at that time, the policymakers in Washington didn't understand software. It was only
that shit went live yesterday. This is graded awesomely.
But in 1980, the Copyright Act of 1976 was amended so you could use copyright to protect software inventions. So
no, I'm not growing it because I'm a show off.
I sent away for the copyright, and it was
no, I already know I can grow this out.
You had to.
I've been growing this shit out since I was like 13-ish.
And I was issued the first U.S.
You didn't know that?
copyright for email. Again, the only way to protect software, so I was officially recognized as a inventor of email. So not only did I create this electronic version,
I'm just like, well, if I see a gray hair up in the mix,
so the facts were essentially black and white. And I never sought, penny for
decided to give me a gray hair. So far, only my own kids can do it.
Let me interrupt you a second and say that's a very interesting thing, because now what we're seeing in technology with the copyrights, we're seeing
no way.
abusive use of the
You're
copyright
50
system.
fucking 5. There's no way you can torment me.
They file these
I feel bad for you.
patents and say, well, I got an idea that you could put pictures on a cell phone. And then they'll hold
not
up
you.
Apple and they'll hold
Talking to
up
Hunter.
Samsung
Because I know he's
and
going to watch.
companies and say, pay me
Just
royalties for
coming
this type of
by,
thing. You
just
never
coming
sought
in
to
to say
capitalize
what's
on
up.
that
I
at
will
all in
definitely
that
catch
way.
your next train.
Exactly. So between that period, 1980 to 1994, you could only use copyright, and only in 1994 that the Federal Court of Appeals allowed the use of patents for protecting software. Now, we have to understand the whole notion of copyright or patents was originally done for independent inventors to protect themselves for
it's foggy as fuck out.
And then it was publicly accessible. What's happened with the patent
Like
control?
if there was a zombie outbreak or something, I wouldn't be able to see him.
About that is that big guys, Apple, Google, etc., have taken advantage of the patent trolls.
No, I gotta use the special radar, the zombie radar thing.
Which would let the big guys essentially control all
it only works for the Call of Duty zombies, but
we go back to the heart of what the founding fathers wanted, what the heart of freedom essentially was in
from Call of Duty.
Was that independent
zombies
inventors should be incented to innovate, like that 14-year-old kid I was in Newark. And there's many
7,000 euros.
There was a 14-year-old kid who invented TV. Took him 60 years to eventually get.
And then it was 12,000 pesos to ship the shit.
But I think at the heart of this,
I don't know why. And then 45,000 yen or something. They owe me because I don't know. But that's like 3 different kinds of currency. So I'm like, why? What the fuck? Yo, give it all back in America.
Corporations which run patent trolls right now. Part of it was innovation was really supported to support the spirit.
I think it's worth more money to me.
Which is at the heart of why America's great.
And that's the key with everything. There has to be a balance. We do want to protect intellectual property, but then of course there's
it's almost like
but you didn't come at this.
You gotta chill back and let dumb fucks defame your character for a little while, and wait for them to say something stupid. And then you show that video, and then you go, yeah, I want 45,000. That's how much you think my name is worth.
$750,000 lawsuit.
See, he knows all about the lawsuit. So yeah, I mean, I don't need one. I'm talking to myself.
I invented emails, between 78 to 81. Went to MIT, did a bunch of degrees, had a very prolific.
It's all wait for them to dig a hole, and then once they do, I capitalize.
In 2011, when my mom was dying of a horrible disease called pulmonary fibrosis, in a suitcase, she left all of this material and gave it to me. And Doug Abbott, who was a technology editor at the time, looked at all of this, and then he wrote an article called "The Man Who Invented Email" in Time magazine. After that, February 16, 2012, the Smithsonian invited me and accepted all my materials. It was a big honor. The day it went into the Smithsonian, we should have been an occasion for celebration. In fact,
damn, I know it's been like 2 days since the stream, right?
From the academic elitist historians and the cabal of the military-industrial complex, who in those 35 years, when I had really promoted myself, or rewritten the history, and a defense contractor called Raytheon, and they had essentially created a false narrative that email came out of the military. What they had done was simple text messaging. In fact, we found a document clearly showing that they had no interest to, in fact, invent email because they thought it was impossible. And so it says you're showing Raytheon had essentially created this huge branding. So when my stuff went into the Smithsonian, it was like a new skull being found in Africa, which completely changed the origin of humans. So they had to destroy it. So you see the fake news sites like Gizmodo.
I'll try to piss you off.
All sorts of names. Horrible names, trying to destroy my reputation.
Yes, it doesn't take much.
Degrees at MIT, everything I've done.
You do get pissed.
In Boston, for example, I wasn't
what about
able to
Boston?
find any law firm to take this on because many of them had links to Raytheon. When
I got no links to anything.
At the beginning of this year, which is in a jury trial, a great case that Charles Tarver represented. I called up Charles, and Charles took on my case. 30 days
I don't know him.
I filed claim bankruptcy, and the irony, sort of the karma of this whole thing, was
I've never
that
seen him
I
before.
get appointed to be one of the co-chairs of all the unsecured creditors. So it was a big victory for us because the facts were so obvious. Gawker clearly didn't want to go to the jury trial, and frankly, I never cared about the money anyway. For me, it was my principle, my reputation. To call someone a fraud, a liar, and a fake when I was being 100% truthful is absolutely ridiculous.
When I hear this,
sorry, I would have music in the background,
the
but
struggle between Langley and the Wright brothers. And you talk about how they wanted to take credit
This
for
is
this.
allowed.
Of course, the big airfield is named Langley Air Force Base, not Wright Brothers.
Once you put on the right track, which is the wrong track,
didn't make any progress.
they can take your audio from you.
Airplane because he was using the charts and the observations that people had recorded that were incorrect.
It's
The
me
Wright brothers looked at
again.
it and they said, "Wait a minute, let's
I
go
got
back
the
to
clear
square one. Let's do our
Pepsi.
own measurements." They came up
Clear
with
Pepsi. No, it's out of the refrigerator.
Clear Pepsi means it's not colored, folks.
Clear Pepsi means there's no food coloring additives involved.
Why is it clear?
Because there's no food coloring involved.
Why is it clear, Hunter?
No food coloring.
Military-industrial complex of his day.
Yeah, and I think in my
No food
case,
coloring, guys.
I'm not saying that someone would not have created email, because March of office automation and computing was coming together.
No, I probably shouldn't drink caffeinated beverages, but I do anyway, even though I'm
The
53.
military was doing these little deep text messages.
Yeah.
In fact,
Would I? No.
this
I'd probably be
guy,
drinking ginger ale.
Tomlinson, all he did was
7-Up.
15-minute
Not on
talk
just ginger
to be
ale.
able to attach text to a remote
And then
file.
orange juice and shit, and that's probably pushing my luck. So, that's what's up.
$240 million in 2014
But, yeah.
on this reputation.
Wow. Hang on, we're going to talk about that more, but we're also going to talk about what you have to say about...
Then again, when I'm 50, I'll still be kicking over my head and shit too. So,
We've been talking about the fact that he was
hey, we all can't have it like that. And don't get mad at the people who can do it.
Inventor of email. He was credited as such, and
I may save one of your lives one
that
day.
got the establishment, especially the military-industrial establishment, very upset. They pushed back against him. They assassinated his character, and not in an effort to be some kind of a patent troll, but simply to defend his reputation, to defend his honor.
And whenever I feel like streaming on, see, I got a problem. I like to listen to the radio on Grand Theft Auto, so I never stream.
But we're also going to talk to him
And yet,
about his research
I'm
on GMO.
pretty
He's
vicious
a man
on my
who is an
feet.
expert in widely
But
different
yet,
fields,
I suck.
and the field that he is
It's weird.
stayed in for the most part, the field that he got his PhD in is biology.
You suck too, and you suck as well.
Biological engineering.
So don't even look at me like
So
I'm
we'll
a
talk to
bitch.
him about
On
what he's
GTA,
found
you're a
in
bitch too.
GMO.
Yeah, and you're a
Of
bitch
course,
as
going
well.
back to this article again, there was
Remember that,
not
and the
his
dude
study,
just
but a
clicked.
previous study. Researchers
You are,
in
you're a
Egypt
bitch.
found
Yeah, you
that with
watching,
GM
bitch.
soy, genetically
On
modified
GTA though.
soy, they had DNA
But yeah, I'm better than you
fragmentation
on
increased
GTA.
significantly. They had glyphosate-tolerant enzymes were found in the blood, and this
Mad?
toxicity increased at 30, 60, and 90-day levels as they fed rats this genetically modified soy. They also found the kidneys' biopathology increased. They found chromosomal aberrations in these rats that they were feeding.
The thing about
modified
my
soy.
channels
So
and
it
shit,
matters what you put in
I'm not
your
gonna
body.
share
It's very important. And I'm not saying
nothing.
that soy is bad.
You'll
But
find it.
there's a different form
'Cause you're
of
stupid.
soy that is harmful, as we
No, no,
see in the
move.
study, and as he's going to talk to us
Yeah,
in the research that he did.
Stupid.
That's why we try to offer you the very
If
best
you felt that
products
smack,
at, InfoWars.
it's because you're
Our
stupid.
Biotrue Selenium that's been sold out is now
Why are you
back
mad at
in
me?
stock. It is made from 100% organic mustard
No,
seed.
move.
It is
You.
not a synthetic
Now you
selenium.
can go back now.
See, it's a difference. Not
Now
all
stand over
selenium
there
is the
now.
same. Not
And
all
you stand
soy
over
is
there.
the same. GM
And you over there,
soy
stand
is
over there.
different from real,
And you.
real organic
25
soy.
jumping jacks.
And GM
No,
corn
Hunter.
is different from organic corn.
And then 25 push-ups after that. One pull-up. I'll donate 25 cents.
Take a look at that at InfoWarsLife.com. Also, look at the specials that we have for 2017 to get you off to a healthy start. We have anywhere from 20 to 30%
Okay,
off
now
a variety of products. We have Brain Force,
backflip.
Super Male Vitality,
No, off the wall.
Shield X2, all 30% off. We have
Okay.
Super 12, Liver Shield,
One-handed back
Knockout,
spring.
a natural sleep
Spinning
aid,
sidekick.
and Prostagard, all 20% off. You'll find all of those at InfoWarsLife.com.
Front wheel kick. Back wheel kick.
Dr. Aya Duray, before we get to genetically modified soy and your research on that,
Dragon to foot
I
sweep.
want to finish up a little bit more on this.
Fall down, dragon style. Kip up.
Talking about the profit
Fall down again.
motivation
Kip up
that
into
the
a
military
fucking split.
industrial complex is getting by claiming
Okay,
that
relax.
they had invented email. There's
Now
a
fuck off.
profit motive in it as they were coming after your reputation, wasn't it?
Definitely. I mean, if you look at it, Raytheon, around 2009,
You think the
post
Tyson a little bit?
9/11, the large defense
I gotta be out
contractors,
every
many
day.
of them got involved
Gotta work
in
out.
the cybersecurity business. It was a lucrative business. Today, it's around a $70 billion industry. Raytheon, around 2009, bought
Okay.
a company called BB&M, which was really in the acoustic business. And they
Interesting.
rebranded themselves as the inventors of email. In fact, 7 days before I went to the Smithsonian, they actually created a website, or not they, but their surrogates, called the Internet Hall of Fame, and they award Ray Tomlinson the Atlanta email award. The timing is not
Right,
coincidental.
shadowboxing.
But the reality was this $70 billion
Right
cybersecurity
down.
market was very lucrative.
Stay down.
All the major defense contractors started the cybersecurity division in
All right, back up.
Raytheon, and they rebranded themselves. If you look at their website that you showed up,
Bunch of
they
combination
that
follow
down
the
after we
bucket.
exposed this. The
Do it 3
app
times.
logo is almost like the Nike
Now.
Coach. They brand themselves as innovators and they have their mascot.
Then you won't get
So
better.
when I stepped
Do another
into the
progress.
Smithsonian, it basically was exposing
Grab a
that,
notebook, put it on a tree, and punch it.
It's almost like they'll imagine exposing that Michael Jordan didn't shoot all of his baskets and Ray Tomlinson didn't invent email.
Well, then you'll never
So
progress.
that was really the
Sorry.
economic motivation to attempt to destroy my reputation, and they use their surrogates in the academic historian community.
No, I'm
In fact,
talking to
when I
you,
paid my work
Jabba
at
the Hutt.
Smithsonian, the agreement was they would display
You can't
it
just
for
say
all young
you
people
do all
in the
these things
United
and
States
you
to get
can't.
inspired. To this day, the Smithsonian has not displayed my artifacts. In fact, the end of 2015, I
Like for
met-
one, walking.
Last I met
You can't
the
even do that, you
new
waddle.
Secretary of the Smithsonian, David Skorton. And within 30 minutes of looking at the facts, he said, Shiva, you need to get an investigative journalist. He wrote to the
You know what a
head of
CAFA
the
is?
of American history, John Gray.
Me either.
And he basically, to his
I
own
meant to say-
boss, he basically said we have
Yeah.
no intention of displaying this. So
What'd I say?
this is a level of collusion that goes on in academia.
I said Hassa.
Academia is not doing the work that it was meant to do. It does really the work
Yes, it did.
of large corporations.
It
who
didn't?
funds them.
Well, that's
So
what I
this
meant to
notion
say.
that you've been discussing on the show, if you look at the East Coast elitist academics,
That's what I said.
the Hollywood people, these people have this liberal ethos, but they're fundamentally fascistic in many ways.
18 more
And
minutes.
fundamentally,
And we're gonna continue with that, and we're gonna talk about how they use their position of authority to control our information. We're gonna come back with Dr. Aya Duray. We're gonna talk about the
For you who
biology
don't
aspect
like
as
me.
well.
You think something's going on.
I'm David Knight, and I'm talking to Dr. Shiva Aya Duray. And as you heard,
Most of his duty is shitty shit.
You heard President
Your Wi-Fi.
Eisenhower saying in the Council
Your
of Government,
unlimited,
we must
whatever
guard
you
against
have.
the acquisition
That's not me.
of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial
Don't be doing your
complex.
videos in the
Of course, he's
basement.
also talking about universities. A couple of paragraphs.
Be like
down,
Doc or
it says,
something, go to the
"Today,
library."
Solitary inventor, and that's who we're talking to, Dr. Aya Duray, the solitary inventor,
You know?
tinkering in his shop, has been overshadowed by task forces of scientists and laboratories and testing.
Well, yeah, they
and
make
in the same
150
fashion,
fucking
free
accounts.
university, historically,
In
the
one
head
week.
of free ideas and scientific discovery has experienced a revolution in the conduct of research, partly because of the huge costs involved. A government contract becomes virtually a substitute for intellectual curiosity. For every old blackboard, there are now hundreds of new electronic computers. He said the prospect of domination by the nation's scholars, by federal employment, project allocations, the power of money is ever present and gravely to be regarded. And so that is the fundamental thing. First you see the solitary inventor like Dr. Aya Duray. They come against him.
Yeah, I make videos that you literally gotta watch the whole time, or you're not gonna hear those little things that people
monetary
within them.
purposes, but also to
Sorry.
establish their authority. Because argumentation from authority is the key way that they control the narrative. And so this is an issue not only about his invention, but it's also an issue about the military-industrial complex. And I want to talk about his next invention here now, which is his cytosol system. And of course, he is a biological engineer. He has a PhD in systems biology with the MIT Department of Biological Engineering. He has 4 degrees. He is a proficient in a wide variety of different issues. I want to talk to him about the GMO aspect.
Well, I with 17 dish points.
But one of the
I feel
things
happy
that he said
about
to me
myself.
was he said that in 2014 he saw in the MIT Technology Review a story titled
I feel good too.
By GMO. And that got him thinking. Talk to us, Dr. Ivy Ray, about the essence of GMO. I think a lot of people really don't understand the difference between transgenic, genetically modified things and things that are just selectively bred.
Sometimes,
we've had massive
most of the
genetic variation between, let's say, dog breeds. Okay, just look at dogs as one example. And that was done by selective breeding. That's something that's been done for thousands of years. But what we're talking about now is something that is fundamentally different. Transgenic can allow them to combine plants with animals.
15 minutes. I think somebody's coming
downstairs. Combine chemicals with plants or animals. It's very, very different. Tell us about this article.
You look old.
Buying GMO and how that alerted
Oh,
you
that's
to the
me.
dangers that were being sold to us by academia.
Yeah, I think great observation, by the way, today. So, when I saw that article, Buy Fresh, Buy GMO, you have to understand between 2003 and 7, I went back to MIT to do my PhD to really create this new technology called cytosol, which would help us really model very complex molecular pathways using the computer. So in 2014, when I saw that, frankly, it was an ad. This is MIT's technology review.
That's not good if the heat is on.
And as you read through that article, what you find is that there's this false narrative that the developing nations, for example, like Africa, India, we all must have GMOs, because without GMOs, there's no way we're going to be able to produce enough food to feed the masses of the world. Right. This is sort of the narrative that goes on. Henry Kissinger pointed out that if you really want to control people, it's not through oil, but control their soil.
Yes.
So MIT is a part of this, voice. Was really
and you gotta be, you have to literally walk and talk like a duck and not watch like a duck.
Cytosol, which we had published, which we had gotten all sorts of.
Don't smell like a duck and smell like a bitch. Just fucking like that shit.
At the molecular systems level, what's going on? Now, to the audience out there, to your point, David, it's a very important point. A GMO is where they take a gene from, let's say, from a fish, which has a certain property. Maybe it can withstand cold because of its skin.
Right, man,
and
just take shots at like 5 people.
Like a tomato.
And
So
at
this
this
is
point,
not
I
something
realize
that occurs in nature. Many of the mainstream publications, New York Times, etc., were essentially supporting fake news by basically these bogus scientists who were trying to convince all of us, oh, don't worry, genetic engineering or GMOs is no different than plant breeding or normal breeding that takes place in nature. In normal breeding, you have a full, interaction of all the DNA, not just one little gene. So this is sort of the big.
This is like waiting for some tough guy to come here so I can throw a spike in his
GMOs are no different than full-blown breeding, but the reality is, what occurs with a GMO by taking a gene from one species and putting it to another in a test tube doesn't occur in nature. So that's what a GMO is. That's what they call it, genetically engineered foods or GMOs. So what we said was, why don't we really do a deep dive? Use cytosol, this very powerful technology, by the way, which we've used to create new medicines, which has been published in Nature and Cell inside of there. Why don't we use this to understand what is going on? So what we did was we said, there have been some reports by some farmers in the Midwest saying that they had seen higher levels of formaldehyde in GMO corn. No one was able to understand the mechanism, so the traditional, conventional, academics sort of poo-pooed it. So what we did was we said, why would that occur? So it turns out in all plants, all fungi, and all bacteria, there's a core molecular system.
He's reading off something, that's all.
C1 metabolism. To keep it simple, plants, for example, take sunlight and they put together carbon to create.
Well, he's showing a document.
Carbon metabolism. That C1 metabolism pathway, we went through nearly 11,000 papers across 6,000 research results using cytosol.
No, but I was like watching on the big TV, like,
pathways of C1. That was
so like
published
I go to that
very,
one to watch them.
and then we published that.
He's booted off his own shit. And I'm like, whoa, when that happens, doesn't the stream close? Apparently not when you're in the hangout. It allows the other person access to something. I really don't know. I really don't want nobody doing that shit to me. That's why I'm glad I don't do Google Hangout.
In the major journals like Nature, in fact, Randy Sheckman, who won the Nobel Prize, he's come out against the big journals, saying it's
wow.
gets to publish. So
Me being extremely medicated, I was laughing.
and you don't have to pay a fee to download.
I'm not sorry.
Why
should I read?
And let me add one other thing too, because that also parallels what we've seen with the internet and with news. You know, one of the ways that you can control the narrative, and we saw this when there were only a few networks out there. Just you're talking about, we had a parallel structure and the peer-reviewed journals.
A lot of people claim to be smart,
and what they choose to report,
but it surely shows that they're not.
Can be a form of censorship
when it comes down to it. Some of us learn,
going directly to the public,
and some of us don't.
Yeah, in fact, you know, the story, for example, Einstein never published any papers peer-reviewed.
I get to watch those people fail. Unfortunately. No, I try to teach you. You just fail.
And let people make the decisions.
Yeah.
So, in fact, when he
Phase it, man. Dog gets more views than you know. It's because you suck. And he sucks too, but you suck worse. I don't want to hear it. Don't say nothing.
I agree, and that's why I put that out there, because we have that priesthood.
Say to somebody who kids.
Well, was that peer reviewed? Was that not peer reviewed? And it's like, okay,
surely to somebody.
In this situation, they were peer reviewed. So there you go. So let's move forward.
Exactly. I mean, I publish in peer reviewed. I have, you know, those credentials. But the reality is, this whole assumption is based on the average person is stupid.
Then again, it's really none of my business.
You should even read. But that's it. It's a bigger discussion.
Why? Because
anyway,
I don't.
You publish a first paper. The
I know. I say that a lot. Well, because it's true.
Molecular pathways that we've discovered
Imagine
from
that.
the literature, which people have done in experiments, and we converted them to mathematical models using cytosol.
No.
And we interconnected
This is me getting to rub it in your face.
And
it usually taking an hour to do that. No, like I said, I'm all lapped out from watching your videos.
Carbon by a pathway where they do create formaldehyde. It's called
Unless you make me laugh now.
And methylation pathway, but then they detoxify it. So in the normal case, all plants do create a little bit of formaldehyde.
It doesn't take much. I laugh.
However, what was found was under certain stressful conditions,
fuck you, I do.
Or when there's a drought, a plant will actually deplete its glutathione. I noticed in your commercial you talked about selenium. Selenium is an amazing mineral which actually helps. It's a precursor to glutathione. Glutathione is a very important antioxidant which helps breaks down formaldehyde. So what we found is in normal plants do create formaldehyde. They have enough.
I was just thinking about dipshit for your mother.
However, under stressful conditions, the glutathione gets depleted.
How's that working out?
Formaldehyde accumulates. So those were papers 2 and 3. In the fourth paper,
I talk to her every day. She said you
soil.
don't talk to
And
her.
the point you made is,
That's probably because she don't
important,
pick up.
not all soy is equal. 97% of the soy in the United States is genetically engineered. Monsanto created a version of GMO soy called Roundup Ready soy. It's a version of soy which can withstand their own pesticide called...
I don't need to teach my mom nothing.
So
My brother-in-law teaches her everything.
Seeds, their seed can also withstand their own pesticide. That's called Roundup Ready soy. What we found out in Roundup
It's called
Ready soy,
fuck your mom.
by the way they created Roundup Ready soy was they took a gene from a different bacterium and they shoved it into the soy seed, in the normal soy seed.
And you too.
And that let it create another immune system to withstand their own Roundup. So anyway, what we found was when they inserted that new gene, it actually perturbs the entire C1 metabolic system and puts the plant into what's called oxidative stress. The plant actually thinks it's under stress. It depletes its glutathione and formaldehyde accumulates. That was paper number 4. When we published this, we were attacked by the pro-Monsanto surrogates.
It took me a minute to focus on it.
Who was the head of agriculture, the head of the horticulture institute at the University of Florida, part of the priesthood. He said, by the way, this guy can create email, and furthermore, his research is just a model. And he also said, I have nothing to do with Monsanto. As some of your viewers may know, subsequent to saying that, a FOIA was issued on him by a nonprofit group in the West Coast, 4,000 emails came out with a clear email from Monsanto to him, giving him $25,000 to be their spokesman. So
there you go. You got him with your own invention, email.
Exactly.
4,000 emails between him and Monsanto showing that there was a connection besides the $25,000 that they gave him. So.
Yeah, so both has been exposed, and so it's funny, the irony is the email is a tool that was used to expose him. Now, more recently, the end of last year, we published a 5th paper because people like the folders were saying,
I've been learning a lot lately. It's almost the end of the video. How you doing?
We went back in and we actually did focus on glutathione, and we were able to show that glutathione levels are nearly 300% less in the GMO soy. Not only that, we found research that was done 3 years ago.
You hear him? He found research.
2011, a little bit longer than that, in
way
leads,
back
and
then.
Duplicated in leads by researchers who had actually grown the GMO and non-GMO soy in the greenhouse. And
I don't know nothing about no genetically modified
300% less glutathione. So what we're saying is, we've been sort of told, oh, these plants are much more resistant to drought, etc., but it's actually completely false. What we're finding is that the GMO soy has 300% less glutathione. Let me tell you, glutathione is one of the most important antioxidants for cleaning up, detoxifying our body. So if the soy has 1/3 less, you can imagine what that means to the nutrient value.
You're liver than everybody else.
Glutathione,
How does it make you feel?
is because it's less
Because you're like
soy,
right there.
even the soy's immune system is lower. That's why many of the GMO seeds,
That's as live as it gets.
thing called neonicotinoids,
Yeah.
which is
That's as live as it gets. It doesn't get no live as
from
it.
soil organisms. So what you're seeing is the
That's pretty
entire
live.
process of creating GMOs is completely screwing around with nature. So
pretty
not
direct.
only do they have created an organism which is less stronger, and then they have to coat it with another pesticide.
It's kind of like the laws that the government does. They create a problem.
That means she's
that
not
makes us
ever
more
at the end of the
vulnerable,
stream.
and then what they
Because
do
she's
is
right
they
there.
double down with that with more laws that make us
You're on
even further,
Facebook, aren't you? I can
vulnerable.
tell.
I think
I'm
it's
on
interesting
Amazon,
to look at Monsanto talking about how they start to go down this path. Where you began on all this, you said they're selling us GMOs, saying that's the only way that we can feed the population of the planet. And yet it's Monsanto that creates these seeds that you have to keep buying from them because they won't self-replicate. So they're actually creating a situation that would hinder our food supply for their own profits, aren't they?
Exactly. I mean, this entire process, is a very insidious process. And the biggest so-called respectable people from the Gates Foundation, the big academic...
This had to give her for like 5
you
years.
go to a place like Africa and India, you show
It's still
floating
in
babies,
awesome
and then
condition,
you
no?
convince everyone they need, help from... It's a neo-missionary attitude. So we've gone into these developing nations, destroyed their soil, giving them sort of unidimensional types of crops, wheat and corn. And many of these countries have their own biodiversity. And then we force them to buy GMO seeds because that's a new market for Monsanto. And as a part of that, we're selling GMO seeds as well as pesticides. And that's really at the crux of why there's a lot of these issues in public health in all of these countries, including our own. In fact, 2 days ago, a paper just came out in Nature showing that low levels of glyphosate Roundup cause fatty liver, EEG, obesity, etc. This just came out in Nature. So at the foundation of all of this, when you go back to where I grew up in India, my grandfather was a traditional farmer, a healer. Traditional systems of health and nutrition were really based on using our food supply, natural systems, natural herbs to support us. And what we've done is, through the military-industrial complex, Monsanto and Dow, for example, as you may know, and they're the ones who created Agent Orange, which was the defoliated entire infrastructure and reused it for delivery of Roundup and glyphosate on factory farms. So the military-industrial complex and their industries thrive on reusing the technologies they created for war in their secondary markets back in
normally I would tell my stream on time, but I don't know what they're talking about. So I'm gonna know
the narrative is the golden triangle of the military-industrial complex.
So I've been having this last smoke.
That's right. And that's why they're going to disrupt.
Last smoke
Stay
from
with us. We'll be
stream.
right back with Dr.
I'm not
Aya
quitting.
Dure. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, and we're talking to Dr. Aya Dure
I'm not quitting
about
the deck. Some
exposure. What's going on with genetically modified soy and with other issues, and of course,
Don't worry
because of
about it.
that,
Don't have
he was
a
attacked. They tried to destroy his
If
reputation.
you do,
Because if they can
you shouldn't
destroy
be
his
watching.
reputation, they don't have to address his research that showed the harmful effects on plants, on soy,
dead people do not
GMO,
sue.
the fact that it accumulated
Who said that?
formaldehyde, which is a known carcinogen, something we should be very concerned about. And of course, the key mechanism they identified was the drop in glutathione. And as he pointed out when he was talking about this, selenium is a key building block in creating glutathione. So it's something that is very essential. That's why you have these studies. You can look at the mechanism, or you can just look at the studies that show that you need selenium for your health in terms of your thyroid gland, your immune system, your DNA production, your eyesight. We now have BioTrue selenium back in stock.
Which one?
We make our selenium from a 100% organic mustard seed. It's not
They have it back in
synthetic
stock?
selenium, as we pointed out earlier. There's
seen
a
it.
difference.
They have it back? I thought because you said they didn't have it.
Modified, and the 97% that is genetically modified. There's a big difference. And there's a big difference in the selenium that you get as well. So you should understand not only what things you need that are essential in terms of trace minerals and other nutrients, but you should also take a close look at how these things, how they're.
I really can't say what I want on stream because then people, I'm not gonna say no names tonight, copy me.
Sold out for several weeks. We also have sales
Yeah,
on
what's
Brain
not to
Force,
get?
30% off. Super Male Vitality, 30% off. Survival Shield X2, that is a nascent
Sorry,
iodine. Again,
I don't see
look at
anything.
the form of the iodine that you're getting. And people
Anymore.
don't get a
I
lot
don't
of
know.
iodine anymore in the food that they're
Wait,
getting.
saying what I'm
This is
saying,
a
you
pure
think?
form of iodine, 30% off Survival Shield X2. Secret 12, a vitamin B12, another essential nutrient that you need, 20% off. Liver Shield, Knockout, Prostagard, also 20% off at InfoWarsLife.com.
Barbara poster?
I want to go back to what we've been talking about. Of course, as you point out, we talked about glyphosate and Monsanto. They genetically engineer, and they created these problems with the
No, Doc.
of
Oh,
formaldehyde
wow.
because they've created soy that is not going to be affected by their glyphosate.
Doc Cricket?
Which is
Oh, wow.
but when they spray
You should clean them out because using them bitch you can see you.
this can go over and kill people. Even when people are trying to do something that is organic, their plants are susceptible to this because they haven't been genetically
Life's
modified.
pathetic, dude. Do yourself a favor, dude, and die.
We've seen this kind of damage that has been spread by
No,
this.
not you.
Of course, I'm sure you're
Maybe.
aware of what's going on in India. Farmers become indebted to Monsanto because they start buying GMO seed. And then
Very busy.
does not reproduce.
It's hard to fit in
It had massive
everything.
numbers of suicides in India. Speak to some of that for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're bringing up some very good points, David. It's an insidious cycle, right? So
Yes.
what they've done with the GMO seeds is they've made it into almost like a software licensing model, right? So if you and I are both farmers, let's say you're next door to me and you're not using Monsanto's GMO soy, and I am. Let's say, for example, one of my seeds happens to fly over onto your property. Monsanto will unleash their legal apparatus to force you to now license their seeds.
Yeah.
And in fact, you can be, litigated against and in fact suffer massive
that's
fines. In India, what's happened, with these, in India, a small farmer may have many kids. His entire livelihood
These will
is
kill me.
based
Ah,
on farming his plot of land. So in countries like India, many of these GMO producers have
Who
essentially
asked you?
experimented
Not me.
with GMO seeds. Some of them work, some of them quote-unquote work, some of them don't. And these farmers become indebted to them. And the licensing model, as you said, is every year annual, you have to come up with more money.
Hang on, we're going to continue with that right after the break. We've got a short segment here. We're going to continue with Dr. Aya Duray.
Oh, he's a
after the
doctor.
break. Right back. Welcome back to the Alex Jones
By all
Show.
means.
I'm David Knight, and we have
Maybe
one
I'll listen to
segment
him.
with Dr. Aya Duray. It's been very interesting talking to you, Doctor. You mentioned something as we were going to break, and that was how Monsanto was going to essentially a software licensing model where people would have to continually re-up and continue to buy their seeds every year. And we've seen this even from car manufacturers, truck manufacturers. I remember reporting on this about a year or so ago. Under the Digital Millennial Copyright Act, they said
I
you own
heard
the
it.
software that runs your car. So
Just kidding, I
you
never heard of
farmers who
everything.
are used to working on your trucks, you can't do that anymore.
No, I never heard of you.
We
Who
own
you?
that. and you can't modify that or even work on it in your own way. Of course, now they're going further down the road. They're coming out with the autonomous self-driving cars, which are not even interested in saying that they're not only going to sell to you. They're turning everything into a renting model. They want to make renters out of all of us. We've seen this with the international.
Don't start talking as I'm gonna leave you,
and
wacky
this is
fuck.
what they have been doing for a long time. This is the model that they want. They want everyone to become their serfs, to become their renters, and nowhere is this more clear than in the way Monsanto has used these seeds against farmers in India. Continue on what you were saying about the software licensing model.
I'll probably forget.
Very important for people to understand.
It's a sharecropper model, right? You basically want to make people become essentially slaves. And it's a model that's essentially anti-American because in many ways it's monopolistic at its deep core that basically forces people where they're essentially selling their land, whether they know it or not, in an indirect but direct way to organizations like Monsanto. And this is, again, I get back to that point when Kissinger said, if you want to control nations, you don't need to control oil, but control the soil. And that is fundamentally what these organizations are doing. And at the heart of it, if you go back to the core of this, you have, so-called intellectual liberal elites like Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, who has allowed people like, for example, Michael Taylor, who's a former head of science policy at Monsanto, to be appointed deputy director of the FDA, where they have put together policies which has allowed the Monsantos of the world to essentially control this entire process. And yet these same people, what the irony of it is, these same people have the gall to promote themselves as liberal intellectuals who care for all of us. And I'm so disgusted by this because for me, having been at MIT in and out of there for 33 years, I'm sort of an insider in some sense, and like Donald Trump says, how he knows how Wall Street operates, I know how academia operates. It's all about control. Many of these academics really do not even care about profit, they care about controlling narratives. So in this model, the narrative to control, as we saw in that MIT article, is that everyone must need GMOs. So they create that narrative, which perpetuates into organizations like Monsanto, essentially feeds their...
Google it if you don't know what he's talking
it's
about.
It's the fact that they hide
I'm not his translator.
It's very dark, very subtle. They hide this information just the way they hide it from the farmers. These farmers didn't know they were going to get hooked into a sharecropper model with Monsanto. They ultimately wind up in massive numbers committing suicide when they find out how bad it's become.
Why are you squinting when you read?
The Dark Act, where they said, we're tired of fighting these battles that are developing at the local state level where people want to know what's in their food. They want to know if it's GMO, and they don't even want that to happen, and they take it to the federal level to say, we're going to shut down all local and state laws. We're going to hide this from people. That's the essence. If we can shine the light on it, that's the key.
Exactly.
I got it. That's out from it.
Some of the so-called liberal elites of the organic movement actually sold out the non-GMO movement. They actually collaborated with the politicians and lobbyists in Washington to make the non-GMO, the GMO labeling so difficult for ordinary people by making it a QR code where you needed a smartphone, but not every average American has a smartphone. So over and over and over and
probably
again,
they do.
Hypocrisy of the liberal academics claiming they care for minorities and ordinary people, when in fact their entire process is actually subverting the entire process of truth.
And yes, we've seen people that don't have a smartphone still.
Promote these very, very false narratives and fake news, be it on email or be it on GMOs, as we're seeing right now. I know you guys have covered on the Washington Hackett.
They thrive on the misinformation. They thrive on hiding it. Thank you so much, Dr. Ayadure. And I think it is amazing, the irony you point out, that the guy who tried to destroy you was exposed by email, which you invented, and we now know that. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome back to the fourth hour of the Alex Jones Show.
Who's this?
Owen Schroyer, joined by
I don't know him.
Ann McAdoo, and we've got more
I don't know
news
her.
to cover throughout the rest of today's broadcast.
I definitely don't know YouTube.
Alex Jones has responded to the Vice documentary that was just shot
Me?
on him. Here's his response video.
You know me, bitch.
I refuse most newspaper interviews, most magazine interviews, and most national TV interviews because I've done Nightline, I've done CNN, Fox, HBO, Discovery Channel, I've done it all, over and over again. There's been a few Discovery Channel and History Channel shows I've done where I basically host them and I'm the main narrator throughout the program. And I was able to do those because those did have
I think I know
scripts.
him.
And so I could basically pre-approve them. I could pre-approve the questions I was going to be asked, and then I had the authorization to give the answers I wanted, and knew that it wouldn't be edited in a major or substantive way. The problem is that most companies refuse to do that deal with me, so I just refuse to be part of their shows. Now, in the case of Vice, there wasn't a script of questions because obviously it's a news program, and I knew the host was one of the more libertarian individuals on Vice, and they'd done some good work in the past. So I said, listen, I figure it's a hit piece, but you can come on down. And when he got there, he basically admitted to me that he is a libertarian, but he disagrees with some of what I stand for. But that indeed, you know, if this wasn't somewhat of a hit piece, it probably wouldn't get on air.
The point of live streaming is you gotta interact.
Whatever, let's just do it.
I thought.
Because I know Gavin McInnes, one of the founders of Vice. I used to like Vice. I've really seen it go downhill in its production quality like everybody else has since HBO bought it. But that's just the way it is.
What's HBO?
So I sit there and I waste hours being interviewed and hours being followed around.
Hillbilly Body Yoda?
They're up there till like 7:30.
Hillbilly Yoda?
And then they air a 5.5-minute piece on Vice News about getting your news from the fringe. Well, something isn't the fringe by definition if it's dominating and if it has higher ratings than a lot of mainstream news, which they admit in the piece. So yeah, it was actually fair in some ways. But then he did this Perry Mason moment thing repeatedly. And I said, oh, I see what you're doing. He wanted to have this gotcha moment. Where he would say something like, oh, you have this graph here on your board saying Russian state-run media is trusted. And I say, yes. And then it cuts to him going, are you effing kidding me? Are you effing serious? Like he's Carl the Cuck or something. When what I really said was, yes, it says it's amongst the most trusted of state-run media on this graph.
See how they left it? There it is too. It's funny.
All we did was
that's what I did to you.
The mainstream media
no, not you. Yes, you.
And to point out to the public that all they did was basically stack some names on one side and other names on the other, and it was all just according to who was pro-establishment, who was anti-establishment, and the whole thing was deceptive. And so I went on to explain that the graph on the wall was one that we drawn on the wall before we actually created one with Photoshop to bring out this point.
You have me scared.
Remembers whenever I actually did break that graph down and explain that it wasn't totally accurate because all we've done was flip what they've done. But see, that wasn't in there. It just cut to me going, yes, Russia is the most trusted media. And he goes, are you effing kidding me? So
he's nice. He doesn't like to swear.
Alex,
he might just say, are you fucking kidding me?
He's got it in other places. So, at key parts, they had to...
Well, then go on, wise ass, and do it.
What I said to misrepresent it to the public, and this is the essence of what these people do over and over and over again. And so now, it might be a year or two again until I let MSM into the building. And they go through the same thing over and over.
You are the weakest link.
All they do is they come act like they've interviewed you, whether it's a newspaper or magazine or TV.
Because I want to say it.
To then distort things and then to pretend that they're journalists. So that's what they did here, and it's ridiculous. Also, they showed one of our YouTube channels.
It's ridiculous.
Bigger than NBC and a bunch of other major channels. That's one of our YouTube channels. I showed him the others. I showed him billions more views.
He's got a couple channels.
Put that in there. So they also played.
He's got You Are the Resistance, Speculation. I don't know anything about that. I'm not subscribed to that.
Just to be big. If it was just stupid Disney stuff, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
We're hardcore. We're telling the truth. We're a shoestring bunch out of Austin, Texas, and we're defeating Goliath. That's the big news. We don't need you. I don't need Fox News. I don't need CNN. I don't need Vice. I don't need any of you. I'm sick of you. And by the way, none of us need you. And the answer is just tune out of all of it, folks, or watch it for entertainment and laugh at it and critique it. And keep me honest as well. But the point is, these people are a joke, and that's why they want to censor us and label us as fake, hoping everybody comes back to them. You guys collapse because people know you're fake. And this piece wasn't on a scale of 1 to 10.
That's not really funny when you know what's going on in the world.
1 being the most truthful, a 10 being completely lies. Well, let's say CNN.
That's the top one, right?
because a lot of it was true, but a lot of it was
Oh yeah, I'll be right back.
Which is rare. I mean, I'll be honest. I did the interview because this guy's done some pretty good pieces in the past. It's pretty funny. So, but he pulled the Perry Mason moments. He pulled those big time. Here's a few of the clips.
Alex Jones is probably America's best known and most influential conspiracy theorist. Jones's radio program and online television network reaches millions, with frothing rants claiming the Sandy Hook massacre was a hoax and that 9/11 was an inside job.
I didn't say
On a
that.
conference room whiteboard, his staff had mapped out media organizations they believe are enemies of freedom.
He just said that somebody was green screening their newsfeed. That's all.
I was just saying.
No, I will not say who. None of his.
Before it was all about the big wigs, would be kind of more over here, but now it's kind of the.
So I just want to
I don't get involved, just like I don't get involved in that other shit. That's not my business.
But these
It's easy.
who are owned by the Kremlin are more free than the media organization you're talking about.
No, they're up at the top. It's
I'm legally
They're
blind.
also closer to the freedom.
yeah, I mean, I found their stuff.
That's why I gotta get so close.
Based in reality.
Are you fucking serious?
Donald Trump, knew who I was, knew what I was doing. Talk Jim sent him in there. The whole place is not about me. I'm just pointing out the movement that was already there that he basically surfed in on.
But you're the loudest person talking about it. You're the most successful person talking about it.
Bigger waves are coming. We don't rise and fall with Trump. Now you're going to see the next wave. Good luck with that.
What is that guy's name from Vice that shot that? What is his name? I don't know. I honestly don't know his name. But honestly, that is what Paul
even know who you
is going to look like in 40 years or whatever it is. I'm sorry.
Are you kidding?
I'm not even dissing the guy. Whatever. Like, he's fine, anything. But that's what Carl the Cuck is going to look like. So there's Alex Jones' response to the Vice documentary. I'm sure you can go check that out for yourself. We've got some other news to cover here. Now,
No,
this is
it's
something,
two people it says.
that Turkey has
Always
actually
on-
done before,
don't forget off.
but they continue to harp this. Turkey, a NATO ally, continues to
I'm not
accuse the
about
U.S.
two
of
people
supporting
in here
ISIS. And of course, this is Erdogan has repeatedly accused its NATO ally, the United States, of supporting the Islamic State. We've
Still proven
documented
guilty.
this. We know just how they did it. They called them moderate rebels. It's really ISIS.
That's
they
the
said they
motto.
would take down
So I
the
heard.
dictator Assad, so they armed the moderate rebels.
Oh,
but it's
and
really
you
ISIS
always
here
have the
and
right
there.
to remain silent.
Now, you look at some of the stuff they're saying.
The cops tell you that shit
It's
to you,
very
too.
clear. We have confirmed evidence,
Remember.
pictures, photos, and videos. But yeah, I've seen it too.
Yeah,
ISIS
they've
is
been
bragging
on it
about
for
this.
years.
And then
Once
got
you say
the
that,
spokesman,
you
Mark
pretty
Turner
much-
responded. He
yeah.
says they're
I'm gonna
leading
stick
this,
to
of
it.
course. But you'll notice he goes on in
yeah,
the statement,
kinda.
and instead
But
of
you
saying
can just
they're
say,
supporting
I refuse
ISIS,
to
he
answer any
says
questions at
Daesh.
this time.
So they're continuing this
And they'll be like, well, I have nothing
ISIS,
on you,
ISIL,
so I thought you'd
they
go
use
now.
Taliban again today, I think when they're referring to Iraq. So there's all these different things. He uses Daesh here. But Leanne, this is more, and I'm not even saying I support the president of Turkey, but at least he's raising the issue here of what's happening with
And
ISIS, how they're
nothing.
getting these weapons and all
We're out of
this
war
support
and
in Syria.
cops can only
Well, I
look.
mean, they're arming and
They can't
funding
touch.
terrorists on a different group. So it's just a huge
Once they
mess
touch,
that's going on there.
you better believe
All
if they
of
find
these
something, that will be thrown
dictatorships,
out.
including our own with President Obama, they're all coming to the forefront now and fighting with each other and stabbing each other in the back, basically, pointing fingers, but they're all guilty of the same thing.
And they really try to politicize these civil wars, these religious wars that have been going on. They start proxy wars in those regions.
I never heard of a proxy.
Osama bin Laden. But now, because these areas are so war-torn, we're obviously seeing the increase in refugees coming to the United States. Now, this has been politicized as well, especially in the presidential
I don't know what
election here that saw
politicized
Trump
means.
win. But
Isn't that a
in
wrap-up?
new exclusive video, this is
A
on the
wannabe
Daily
rapper?
Caller.
Yeah.
Immigration official okays Syrian immigrants with fake passports.
Yes, I
An
know
undercover
politicized
video-
means.
Yeah. An
Google
undercover
it.
video exclusively obtained by the Daily Caller Tuesday
This
claims to
isn't
show an immigration official in New
teach
York
you
giving advice on
something. I
how
only
illegal
teach
Syrian
Nightmare,
immigrants
like,
can
8th
receive
grade
asylum
words.
with fake passports.
Wow.
The place that this video is from is the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services.
And hopefully he'll teach
The
Doc
person who was saying this
proper
can be
grammar.
saying chances are, considering the
That's all I
situation
can
in
hope for,
Syria,
yeah?
they're not going to be sent back. That's in response to the question. I've got this family
'Cause
here.
they're
They're
stupid.
worried about their fake passports, them getting taken back. The guy says, "Oh well, chances are, considering what's going on in Syria, they're not going to be sent back." Leanne?
What could possibly go wrong? I mean, where have we heard before with terrorists using fake passports to cross over into Germany and undetected? Meanwhile, they had committed crimes in Italy and then went on to go commit terror attacks. What could possibly go wrong with allowing people in and then coaching them on how to use their fake passports?
Well, it's ridiculous too because we raise awareness to the lack of vetting or how you can't vet these people. But it's even worse. The vetting, they don't even care about it. Oh yeah, we vetted you, that's fake. Go ahead. So if you're not going to even follow through with the proper vetting, what's the point? We'll have more on the 4th hour of the Alex Jones Show. Owen Schroyer, Leanne McAdoo on the other side.
I don't know them.
Welcome back to the 4th hour of the Alex Jones Show. Owen Schroyer, Leanne McAdoo with you. And right now at InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, we have some great specials going to help you get your New Year's resolution off to the right start. Help you make your body great again. That's what we're calling the initiative, Make Bodies Great Again. You go to InfoWarsStore.com. All kinds of specials going on there. We've got all kinds of products. You can see the Bio True Selenium. David was talking about how this is the true selenium, the pure selenium from the pure mustard seed. That's one that I take every morning. One of the many InfoWars products I take every morning, part of my Making My Body Great Again initiative. But there's other products. The nascent iodine is my favorite product, probably of all of them. Roger Stone was on earlier talking about how if he didn't have the brain force, he's not sure if he would have the energy and the focus dealing with some of his illness to complete that book. So make sure you go there and check out all the products.
They have the super female vitality and the male vitality.
The deep cleanse, that's also one that I'm taking as to start my new year off. Healthy cleanse. There's all types of great products for any.
There's some toothpaste too, but no. Oh yeah, the non-fluoride.
Want more energy?
No fluoride toothpaste.
You want to fall asleep better, knock out. I mean, seriously, there's everything on there. Go to InfoWars Life. Make sure to take advantage.
I don't know who InfoWars is.
We sell out.
And the body armor. Don't forget about that.
Oh yeah, they sell body armor now.
Yeah, actually, Alex does have a video that we're gonna play here in the next segment, talking about the body armor. Some people don't like that we sell body armor. You know what? You know what's gonna happen? We're just going to sell more of it.
Exactly. They're going to go, wait a minute, what is this? I can get body armor there? Nice. And all 7 different colors?
The best body armor, too, at the best price. So that's another special that we have going. So this is something that we found today, or that you came across today. You want to talk about this? Apparently, we found where Pepe came from, folks.
Yes, so this is the evidence of the Russians influencing our election, because we know that this Pepe meme really spread like wildfire. Well, now, the Russian embassy tweeted out a Pepe meme. It was the Pepe the Frog, and this was it. The tweet said, "In today's papers, pundits called on Theresa May to disrupt possible Russia-U.S. thaw. No trust in Britain's best friend and ally." So of course, they immediately got some backlash from the SJWs here. Hey, are you aware of that image's popularity?
Yeah, I can see like a baby.
So,
like always.
Anyway, is Pepe the Frog, was this part of the Russian interference in the election?
Yeah, where's the, I believe, like, I always drop my leg on, say the wrong words sometimes, sorry.
Social justice warriors. This is the level
Nothing I can really do about
that
that.
Come to in the year 2017.
They did the lame duck troll Obama the other day. I don't know.
Yeah, they do it.
Memes
I get
are
like
very
some
powerful.
fresh air, right? Yeah.
That's what they're calling it. You know, I actually tweeted out a meme earlier.
Actually, it's so fresh that
Martin
shit,
Luther
you
King
can see it.
with a Make America
Quit coming in here,
Great hat on.
Be sure to share that.
Make sure you share that. I'd love to see that go as
viral as
Don't flag my stream.
They tweeted it. The Reverend.
The Reverend. Let me tell you something. If Al Sharpton is a Reverend, I'm an astronaut. All right? I'll see you on Mars. Al.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. I'm going to have a huge march and protest of Donald Trump.
Hey, yeah, there it is. There's the Martin Luther King. Because here's the deal. The Reverend.
Who?
The Rev. Is going to have a protest on Martin Luther King Day, protesting
I know him.
Donald Trump and Senator Sessions. So, but apparently that's failing, and I've got a story on that we're going to get to later.
Yes.
But you know what the truth is, though? The truth is that social justice warriors and some radical liberals were actually more offended by Pepe the Frog, a cartoon frog, than they were by the actual kidnapping and hate crimes that we saw in Chicago.
Right.
So how do you like that?
Well, this is more, that's just I know we're going to do a segment for the nightly news tonight on you might be.
Are we going to do that on the nightly news?
Logic, and maybe even.
So yeah, guys, we'll have a smoking stream tomorrow. I'll be smoking big joints. No, I'm not going to 18 plus.
So we're going to do our own version. You might be a liberal if I've got like 15 of these.
If Pepe the Frog is part
you won't even know.
You're more offended by this than you are about the kidnapping and torture of a mentally challenged person and hate crime.
The trolling is, I mean, but it's like, what are you supposed to do? I can't engage in a civil or educated argument with these people, so I just have to troll them. I have to mean more of them. There's no intellect. There's not a battlefield of intellect there. Speaking of battlefields, soon coming to a battlefield, military micro-drones.
You know that song from Pat Benatar? That's a good one.
Micro-drone swarm. The Pentagon may soon be unleashing a 21st century version of locusts on its adversaries after they successfully tested a
just
swarm
jamming to it right now on my down keys.
Micro-drones. You can go check out the video of this. It's pretty wild stuff. But this is apparently the latest in military technology. This is the Alex Jones 4th Hour. Come back on the other side. We'll hear again from Alex Jones and what he thinks about our new body armor.
I get Google alerts with my name or Infowars.com in the headline or body of the story. Sometimes thousands of links get sent to me. Usually it's 50, 60, 100 or so. But almost every day there's a couple from Media Matters that's listed by Google as a news platform, but Infowars.
What's that?
Isn't that cute?
What's the machete?
But again, they're the bosses. They define things. Just like they defined it as profiteering.
Lucky you.
Off of the Florida shooting last week by another jihadi, that we happen to be selling body armor, nanotech, beyond
nanotech.
Lightweight body armor at InfoWarsStore.com.
No, that.
But two of
this is serious shit.
It's so miraculous. And they figured out that we were connecting it to the shooting and saying you needed it. Kind of like, let's say if I went to Colorado in December and I wanted to go skiing, and the weather report said it was real cold, so I might want to get some thermal underwear and a thick coat. Yes, that's right. We're selling body armor because of shootings and mass shootings and other events like that and societal breakdown. Yes, you call
can you do me a favor and check the dislike bot?
I don't know. We also sell toothpastes so that your teeth are healthy at InfoWarsStore.com. Yes, your teeth will rot out if you don't brush them several times a day and if you don't get them cleaned several times a year. Yes, that's not called profiting off of and exploiting people's teeth falling out. That's making money selling somebody something they need. Think about how crazy this is, but I don't know what you call it. I see it all the time where they try to define reality over and over again, where they'll take the most simple, common sense thing and then turn it into something dirty and something bad. Like, look, he's profiting off the Fort Lauderdale shooting because his guest host, David Knight and Owen Schroyer, they pointed out, see, for events like this when you're traveling or whatever, you're able to put this insert into a backpack, or you're able to wear this lightweight body armor, and it weighs 5 times less than the conventional. Oh, what a great innovation. They make jokes about how we call it space age, and now only available to the public for the first time, and how state police and military are using it. Again, it's all true. You see, when we sell products, whether it's non-GMO heirloom seeds or supplements or body armor or lowers for guns, we're bad. It doesn't matter if it's illogical. It's all about they control reality. Just like when they say, don't say you're a mother and father, say you're not a boy or girl, you're a purple penguin. Or don't use the word black. Use the word African American or whatever new word we come up with. Don't say Christmas, say holiday. And now they say, don't say holiday. It's all about them controlling reality. So you read the article and it reads like satire, but they're deadly serious. Also, The type of people that are authoritarian leftists have grown up multi-generations in cities. Most of them don't even know how to basically screw a water hose in, water their own yard because they don't have yards. And they see everyone else who has abilities and everyone else who's somewhat self-sufficient. And everybody else who's masculine as a threat. That's why colleges all over the country are saying, don't be masculine. Masculine is a microaggression. Men with muscles, men who are strong, men who are confident. It's evil. Only women can do that. And women are allied with the state because the great lawgivers, the Moseses of our world in media matters, like David Brock, because he has that big hair, he's got George
well, that
Soros
wind is
money.
kind of awesome at the moment.
Oh, and of course, Media Matters also.
The wind out
it's
here.
always like they catch me on TV. I do that secretly. On TV secretly.
It is
when I
windy.
went on national Russian television, of course, we've been airing this ourselves, and talked to some of the folks that are top Putin advisors, at least two of them. And I did brag that, hey, we're reaching out, promoting freedom with Russia, and promoting free market capitalism, and promoting pro-family values, and promoting linking up to defeat radical Islam. Oh, but the military-industrial complex doesn't like that. Our military is all for that, but the actual folks selling us, these fighter bombers that have taken 20 years to develop and cost $1.5 billion a piece, and it's up to $1 trillion+ for the program. They're not the traitors. No. It's us that don't want weapon systems that are total rip-offs. We're the bad people. Like Trump's
a weapon system is a gun, most likely.
Trump's a Russian agent, then I'm an Easter bunny. But I'll say this. Russia wants to make us great again.
Preferably a
Russia wants to
rifle.
have trade deals with us. Russia wants us to export oil and gas in their country. Russia wants family values. Russia wants private property.
Hunter, do you know how to bump fire a weapon yet?
Communist Chinese are in our business, buying up Hollywood, telling us
Hunter,
what to
bump
do,
firing
until the movies
is
come out,
when
and even they got
you can make the
censoring
semi-auto
Michael
work into
Savage's
fully auto.
And I've personally
Without
dealt with
converting
the
it to
garbage
fully
out of
auto,
the Chinese,
yeah?
but they're not a problem having both ends of the
It's
Panama
quite
Canal
legal,
and exporting
if
their
you
oil
know how.
population all over the world.
Because there's no
90%
modification.
of earth minerals and involved in everything and buying up tens of thousands of U.S. companies. They're not an issue. No. It's
So the next
all
time,
evil
Hunter,
Donald Trump.
you pretend like you know something about weaponry. No, you actually know something. So I just taught you, yeah? Oh, another thing. You cannot shoot a coyote.
Attack submarines and nuke cruisers and aircraft carriers.
See how far that gets you.
That's what the Russians do.
You can't even explain away a justifiable kill. You still get the city limit time. Unless it's for good reason. Like if you kill somebody, then your property.
Real weapons at work.
Pretty much
We're
it.
developing crap. We've been sabotaged. The globalists are the enemy. They're the ones that have hijacked the country. And America and the world is waking up big time to this. And we're sick of the traitors. Sapping this country dry. The globalists.
You pretend to be pretty keen on the law.
We know who the traitors are, scumbags. And yes, folks are buying the body armor. It's a bestseller now. Thank you all for your support. But the introductory price, it's amazing. Check out the
But surely you don't.
Beyond Space Age. Available in every configuration that they have, made right here in America, invented at the University of Texas at InfoWarsStore.com, and stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Bozo the clown over there at Media Matters.
Yes.
Straight to nowhere.
Yeah.
Good luck, by the way. Shut the media off. Good luck with that. Little Soros minion, you're only gonna make us explode that much faster.
Like I said, nobody knows.
Have a fop haircut, a pseudo-intellectual little bug eyes, and little Pomeranian.
People who know me know I usually stream around this time.
Like some type of bird of paradise, so I gotta roll over into the ditch and give up because I have hundreds of times the audience you do scum.
He's really mad.
Alex, tell us how you really feel about David Brock, huh? How about
He's
that, Leanne?
almost as mad as Jump Steady was when I saw the show.
Owen Schroyer, Leanne McAdoo.
He was mad.
And the body armor is selling because it's some of the best.
He kept calling, you know, look at a bitch.
Available, and I'm just gonna go ahead and repeat what Alex said. Stick that in your
Really?
pipe and smoke
He
it,
said it
David
like
Brock.
25 times.
And the rest of the mainstream media that doesn't like the fact that we fund ourselves. Sorry, we don't have to take money from big pharma like you do. But we'll be just fine selling that body armor. Now, this is something I was thinking about. This is kind of off the cuff, Leanne, but I just wanted to get this off my chest, and maybe you can respond to this. This is actually something that woke me up after the Boston Marathon bombing. It was part of my becoming woke process to trigger the left.
You're not allowed to say that.
I'm woke. But you remember the Boston Marathon bombing? There was a huge manhunt afterwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
They shut down the city, they shut down the streets, and there was this all-out, full-on manhunt for the two alleged bombers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's been no manhunt for Seth Rich.
Who's that?
No manhunt, no cities shut down, no blocks shut down, no serious search in Chicago for the record number of homicides. And I remember what woke me up to this was actually not even a week, I think it was after the Boston Marathon bombing, there was a gunman who went into a parade in New Orleans, shot about 8 people, they caught the whole thing on video, and he got away. And there was no manhunt. And I was sitting here thinking, because the whole Boston Marathon thing...
He's talking too much. I'm probably going to have to kill his stream.
I'm just sitting here thinking,
So, yeah.
why is there no manhunt?
Later.
Why is there a manhunt for